Now that I'm 70 years of age, I thought it was important to start this very short talk of who my mentors were. My first mentor was Roberto Burle Marx from Brazil. He taught me how to do landscape architecture working with plants. He taught me about color. He taught me about textures and how to make the textures work together and present a very strong landscape. My other was Ian McHarg. He wrote the book Design with Nature. He taught me to love nature. This is one of my pets. Rodzi, my little stick insect. It's beautiful, isn't it? He also taught me about the relationship between humans and nature and how we have to take care of each other and respect each other in our own places. But then I came to Australia in 1981, and I went to Broome, and Patty Rowe took care of me for many years, going back and forth. But what he taught me most was about the landscape and what the landscape means. He taught me about feeling, that you just don't walk through the landscape. He'd sing you through the landscape, and you knew there was something extremely special about this particular man. I've worked for the past 20 years with Finn Murphy, who was originally one of my students. While we're very well known for our indigenous works and community consultation, we now have been working with the city of Greater Dandenong. We've learned a lot in the past few years of working in a community that is over half of the population were born in other places than Australia. And there's 150 different countries that are represented there. So I thought, before I show you the project, what I thought I would do is show you some of the people that we interview and we work with. What we have done in one project was there's a small public space in Noble Park. And so what we were asked to do is to see how the design would change based on, you might say, creative consultation methods. So what we did is we simply had a little model, and we would meet different groups, and then we did designs based on what the groups told us. Maybe the most important thing that you'll see in the designs is they're not exactly Eurocentrically based. So we started, of course, with the indigenous population. And Ringo, what do you think that little public space in Noble Park should look like? And Ringo said, well, Jim and Finn, It should tell stories. Not only the stories about our people, but the stories about all the people that are coming and flowing through Noble Park. It's a place for stories. Oh yeah, we do the kids too, because they were quite enjoyable actually. What would you like to have in this little space in Noble Park? Well, we'd like to have things to do on a Saturday. You know, have the parents take us and we could go do some shopping and have different foods and so forth. And by the way, that big red gum that still is there, Ringo told us that he always would tap it in the morning to say hello, because he knew he was home when he did that. Well, the hip-hop generation, we'd never be able to do that concrete work, but they wanted it colorful and bright. They wanted a stage, and they wanted a good art wall in the background. Much better than what most of the councils would come up with, I suspect. It was so special to do this because, you know, after you travel the country, working with indigenous groups, whether it was Cape York or the Gibson Desert or Broome Way or Tasmania or Darton, New South Wales, the techniques of working with people and having people trust you probably is the most important thing to do in these efforts. Some people wanted Wi-Fi environment so they could have a place to sit and congregate and have places also and have plants that were food producing. That was quite a surprise, actually. People enjoyed coming to the meetings. We thought people would be, you know, laid back from it and all, but everybody got involved. Some of the young people wanted language as a very important function of the little public space, and water, and quite a few bamboo trees. But, you know, color always came in, especially with certain groups. You know, you look at the population and then you look at the design that they wanted and how much it represented where they came from and what they will contribute to Australia. And the young people, they wanted to keep out of the rain. That was really good. And have that beautiful wall in the background. But I think the most important thing about it is that we're in an Australia that's changing. I'll go back to that. We're in an Australia that's changing, and we don't yet know how the flowing through of the groups that are coming through the country is going to change the dynamics of design in the future, and I believe it will. Based on what we see, even from the different young populations, the attitudes are, we look at the cultural mix mainly from the standpoint of more food, but there's great ideas coming through, and that's what we should be respecting. Now, about my favorite building, I bet you could guess what it is. I've seen this movie 12 times. My wife says if I put it in one more time, she's going to leave me. But the thing is, this movie is a very important movie because in many ways it describes the relationship between us humans and nature. But the thing I loved about the movie was the sense that nature is part of us. And of course, if one of you could guess what building it is, you could call it out. What is it? Oh, no way. I mean, look, when you get the color and you surround yourself with color, there's another sense that occurs. Now you got it? Oh, of course you do. My favorite building. It has everything that Rodsey had, my little stick insect has. It has life, it has movement, it has a good sense of color, and it brought many teams together, Cox and Electrolyte and artisans together to pull this off, and it's absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much.